to use it, we learned its functions, and we also learned the read.search. In this video, we'll be talking about our stock program, how to code it, and how to crawl the web for data. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Open up your IDLE, expand. All right. We'll be using two modules in this program. The first one is the import re, and the second one will be the URL lib. But I won't be using the whole library. I'll just be importing URL lib dot request because that's the only function I want. Awesome. Now we have to first get a URL to parse data from, because without a URL there's no point. So let's go to our browser. Let's search Google Finance, and let's click it and search for a random stock. Awesome. Now I hope you noticed, but above you can see in the URL itself the stock name has appeared, and that's what we want because we can change that via our code. So let's delete this stuff, the stuff after the goog, delete that, and now let's try changing it. So let's make it FB. Awesome, that came up. Our URL. Let's go back to our code. And one thing I want to teach you here is how to add a comment in Python. Commenting is simple. All you do is you hit the sharp sign and then enter all the text you want. A comment in Python basically means text that will not be counted as code. It is just for general knowledge to understand what's happening or to load some data or anything, but it won't be counted as real code. Awesome. So we now have our URL. Let's create this thing. Let's create a variable. Start with the quotation mark, Command V, end with the quotation mark. So this is our URL, https www.google.com finance question q equal. Now whatever stock name the user wants will come after the equal sign. So quick challenge, can you do that? And a hint here is to add two strings together, all you need is a plus sign. So the challenge is to create an input, get the user stock, and add it to the end of URL. Start. All right, let's do this. So let's first create an input. Stock is equal to input. And then in brackets, enter your stock. Awesome. Now enter your stock. Let's just go with FB for now. Great. Now what we have to do is make the stock go to the end of URL. So URL is equal to URL plus stock. This is known as concatenation of strings. So you can add two or more strings together by just using the plus sign. Great. So if we try printing out URL now, what do we get? https www.google.com finance question q equal to FB. Awesome. Now we're going to use our URL lib.request. So we want to store that link or our URL's data into a variable. So let's create a variable called data is equal to, now I'm going to write a bit of code and I'll explain it as soon as I'm done. URL lib.request .url lib open URL open, sorry, and then URL open. What URL do we want to open? It's going to be our URL .read. Awesome. So what we did here was we said data, our variable, is equal to URL lib module .request. It's going to send a request and opens up URL open our URL. What's our URL? Our URL was http Google Finance FB. So once it's opened, whatever data is in there, it's going to be read and it's going to be printed out. All right. Before we go further, the first thing we need to do is to decode the data. So upon calling a request, opening it and reading it, we got our data in bits and bytes. So create a new variable, data1 is equal to data dot decode in brackets UTF-8. This should be in quotation marks. All right. So all we did is we decoded our data using the UTF-8 parameter, and it converted those bits and bytes into words and normal strings. Now, if you had printed data, you would have seen a normal result, but it would have caused errors later on while doing our re-parsing. All right, so now let's search for our re.search function. So let's first find out what we're going to search for. Let's print data1. And we got this. So this is now much more easier to use. If we had printed out data, you must have seen that data is all clumped up together and it doesn't look nice. This is a much more visually pleasing way of printing out our data. So Command F, and let's search the value of the stock. So wait, go to Chrome. Let's do this. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this page, and I want to search for what is FB right now. FB stock 76.45. okay, so let's search 76.45. Find next until we find the one we're looking for. Here we go. Meta item prop is equal to price, content is equal to 76.45. great. So let's close this. Close. Now we're going to be searching for this. Meta item prop is equal to price. In any Google Finance link, you will find this meta item prop equal to price, and underneath that, the value of the stock. So Command C this. Close this. Go to your IDLE. Scroll back down and do Command V. So that's what we're going to search for. So say M is equal to re.search. Just remember our research search function like we did last time. Now don't use double quotation marks in the beginning. Use single quotation marks because of the price. So single, close this, and now we're going to say comma. What are we going to search in? Data or data1? Data1, obviously. So let's just recap. M is equal to re.search. What are we searching for? Meta item prop is equal to price in data1. Click enter. Now if we print M, what do we get? Awesome. So we now know where the location is. 79549 to 79570. So let's create a starting variable. Start is equal to m.start. And let's make end 50. So end is equal to start plus 50. Great. So now we're going to use what we learned in the previous lecture. So data2, or let's just call this new string, is equal to data1, and then in square brackets, start colon end. Click enter. Awesome. Print new string. What do we get? Meta item prop price content is equal to 76.45. Great. Now what we have to do is get the content out. So content, i.e. 76.45. So we don't want the quotation marks, we don't want the content, we don't want any of this. So what we're going to do, let's create another search. M is equal to re.search. And what are we going to search for this time? It's going to be content equal to, and then double quotation mark. So we're going to be searching for this, the content equal to double quotation mark. And what are we searching in? We'll be searching in our new string. Awesome. So click enter. We got this. Now what we want to do is we want to take the end of this, i.e. the colon, and up till this. So first what we're going to do is get the end. So end is now going to be equal to, or the beginning, start should be equal to m.end. I hope you got that. Basically all we're doing is we want from here onwards. So m.end is equal to here, and the start should be that. So let's update our new string. New string 1 should be equal to start colon. Hit enter. Invalid syntax. Alright, that's because I forgot to put our data 1 or our new string here. Sorry. New string, and then in square brackets start colon. Great, let's print out new string 1. See what we get. We get 76.45 and then double quotation mark, space, and a slash. So all we want now is to get it up till 76.45 and then end. So it's quite simple. All we're going to do is do another re.search. M is equal to re.search. We'll be searching for search for the slash, because you never know, you might get some more stuff over here. So we're going to be searching for slash in this, and we'll be searching in what? New string 1. Great. So now what we want to do is we want to say start will be equal to 0. So we don't even need that, but that's fine. And end should be equal to m.end minus 2. So I hope you got what we did there. M.end will give us this, but what we want is minus 2. So we want up till here. So we'll get rid of the quotation mark, we'll get rid of the extra space, and we'll just have 76.45. So then we're just going to say final is equal to, and then we'll be doing this with what? New string 1. And in the brackets, we're going to say 0 to end. Print final, and what do we get? 76.45. Okay, so it looks like the quotation mark didn't go away. So let's do end is equal to m.end minus 3. My bad. Final is now equal to, same thing, new string 1, 0 to end. Print final. There we go, 76.45. You have now successfully crawled your web and you have created a running stock program. Congrats. Now to make this a little better, let's do print and then in quotation marks the value of, and then we're gonna say plus stock, put a space over here, plus the value of FB. So remember in the beginning, our stock, the value of FB is, and then a space, plus final. So this is concatenation. We did this earlier above. So a string, then plus another string, etc. So print, the value of FB is this. Whoops, we missed a space. Let's get that space in there. Alright. The value of FB is 76.45. Great. This is a huge accomplishment. Amazing. We now have a running stock program that gives us the value of the stock back. Now, I have done this program in the shell, so doing this again and again might be tough. So let's quickly make file, new file. If you don't mind, I'm just going to quickly write it in here so that, you can copy off and you can save this file, because this is a pretty huge accomplishment. So let's quickly start. Import import url lib.request. What did we do after that? We first had to create our URL. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go up and copy paste, because that's what I think is going to be the easiest right now. So, yep, that was a lot of data right there. So I'm going to minimize this. Whoops. Not minimize, but we have to make this less. Alright. So URL should be equal to https whack. So you can follow me. Just copy the code into this file. Awesome. So in just 5, 10, 15, 20 lines, you have created a running stock program. Great. I hope you learned a lot in this lecture. This was actually quite a detailed lecture and we learned a lot. So we learned about parsing through the web. We learned about getting a string out of a huge random jumble of information. And then we learned breaking down that string even further to get the value that we want. Now, a neat feature you could do here is we could say something like, we could create a for loop. So you could have an array of stocks is equal to, I don't know, it could have FB, Goog, Tera, Baba, I don't know. You could have any amount of stocks that you want. And one more thing over here that we can do is stock.upper. If you remember what that function does, it makes the string's letters capitalized. So let's run this before I move on. So run module, source must be saved. Okay, let's save it. Let's call it stock quotes, save in documents, great. Invalid syntax, 0 to end, right? Because we forgot the new string. New string 1, 0 to end. So run this, Python module, run module, save source. Enter stock, FP. The value of FP is 76.45. Great. Now, as I was talking over here, we could have done array of stocks is equal to these four. And then as a simple challenge before I end this lecture, just do it so that a for loop is created. And every time that for loop runs, so we will do something like for I in array of stocks, then I want you to put the stock over here, so we won't be inputting anymore. It'll just be this name. We're using these stock names, and I want you to return the result. So quite easy. Using these stocks, it should be a for loop running through each stock and returning its value. Alright, so we learned a lot in this lecture. See you then.